Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. I hope you're all doing okay. And for today's entertainment, while you're all shut inside, I've got technically I suppose you could call it a triple action replay. This, in the Tier 6 USS New Mexico, is TCFreer, World of Warships community contributor, live streamer, and all-round good egg and snappy dresser. And he's in a triple Tier 6 battleship division with Aggravated Animal in the USS Arizona, and the Cheesemonger in HMS Warspite. Now, the one thing that these three battleships have in common is, well, they're not particularly well known for their blistering speed. The Warspite is the fastest with a top speed of 23.5 knots, but the Arizona and the New Mexico would have nosebleeds if they ever thought about going that fast. Bearing that in mind, we probably have a little time as these three ancient battle wagons sort of casually saunter towards their date with destiny, in which to talk about other things. I dare say there's a fair number of you out there who lately suddenly seem to have an awful lot of free time on your hands. Doubtless a lot of you are putting that to use playing World of Warships. If that's the case, then I might have some good news for a few of you. I've got some stuff to give away. I've got my hands on the Tier 9 US Navy battleship, the USS Georgia, the Tier 9 French battleship, the Jean Bart, the Tier 9 Dutch destroyer, the Friesland, and just to prove that I have a sense of humour, I'm also giving away a Tier 5 Krasny Krim. Yes, the terrible premium Tier 5 Russian cruiser that's basically a non-premium Tier 4 Russian cruiser, except it gets Tier 5 matchmaking and can and does have to fight Tier 7s. Why the Krasny Krim as well, Jingles? Well, if you can't take a joke, you shouldn't be playing World of Warships. There's a lot of suffering going around lately. I don't see any reason why you lot should be excluded. I am nothing if not an equal opportunity, evil gnome dictator. Plus, it puts a smile on my face, imagining the look on one of your faces when you get an email from me, letting you know that you've won the giveaway, but it's not the Georgia, it's not the Jean Bart, it's not the Friesland, it is in fact the Krasny Krim. Just picturing the look on that face makes the bother of organising this giveaway completely worth it. What do you have to do for a chance to win? Check the video description, click the link, enter the giveaway, hope you win, and then hope you don't win the Krasny Krim. Simple as that. What's that? Why is the Krasny Krim so bad? Well, it's basically a Svetlana, which is Tier 4, except the Krasny Krim is Tier 5. Now, I don't mind the Svetlana, I think it's actually quite fun to play, but I like it because it's Tier 4. Tier 4 ships don't have to fight anything higher than Tier 5. Tier 5 ships can fight Tier 7s, which isn't a problem if you're actually a Tier 5, but it is a bit of a problem if you're basically a Tier 4, pretending to be a Tier 5. You're only armed with 130mm guns, which are basically only good for shooting at destroyers and nothing else, but you have a nearly 14km surface detection range. So good luck catching any destroyers by surprise. It's an absolutely bloody terrible ship, which is why I think it's really funny to give one away. Anyway, that's my enjoyment out of the way. Now it's time for yours. So, our three heroes are finally in range and have started to exchange shots with some of the enemy ships to the northern and eastern end of the map. Everybody's done some damage, but not a huge amount. The New Mexico and the Arizona are armed with 14-inch guns. The Warspite armed with 15, although it doesn't have as many, having only 8 guns compared to the 12 enjoyed by the Arizona and TC's New Mexico here. But it's Aggravated Animals Arizona who's going to be the first one to open the scoreboard, because while the New Mexico's guns may not be as accurate or as high caliber as those enjoyed by the Warspite, as Joseph Stalin once famously said, quantity has a quality all of its own, and if a French Le Galissonière is going to be dumb enough to give a broadside to that when there are so many battleship caliber guns pointing in his direction, well, quite frankly, he deserved everything that he got. Meanwhile, TC, keen to not be left behind, is looking around for a likely victim for his 14-inch guns. And the enemy Trento, possibly witnessing what just happened to the Le Galissonière, is very wisely ducking in behind the island over there, almost certainly aware that he's being targeted and not wishing to suffer the same fate as the Le Galissonière. He probably thinks he's ducked in far enough. He probably thinks that, and he's wrong. Triple Citadel and a devastating strike. These may not be the Warships 15-inch guns, but 3 Citadels from a 14-inch gun is definitely enough to put a serious dampener on the day of any Tier 6 cruiser captain. Meanwhile, up ahead, the friendly Wakeful destroyer on 98 health is zooming around with his guns still blazing, assuming that the Bayern up ahead isn't going to be able to sink him, and he's right, except he wandered around the corner of the island, straight into the trap laid by the enemy Vasteras, who finished him off with an extremely easy gun volley. The Vasteras, however, has a bit of a problem here, because I have no doubt that he was lurking over there in an attempt to get some torpedoes into this cluster of battleships, but with the Wakeful dying in that exact spot, he's blocking any torpedoes, so the Vasteras has to come out. Well, he doesn't have to. I mean, he could have just continued backing up behind the island, gone undetected. His torpedoes have a 10-kilometre range after all, but he's choosing to come out in front of all 3 battleships, inside their secondary gun battery range, and all 3 battleships are panic shooting at him. His engine's out. He's managed to get his torpedoes away, but, well, here's the thing about the flat pack destroyers. Their torpedoes are fast, and they have a quick reload, but they don't have a big alpha strike. So TC scores his second kill, takes 2 torpedo hits, and if they'd been Japanese torpedoes, he would have been in a lot of trouble, but, well, they weren't, so he isn't. Cheesy over there in the Warspite, showing off with his massive 2.5 knot speed advantage. And also guns that, unlike the guns on the New Mexico and the Arizona, are capable of overmatching the bow plating of the Britannia over there, who is in a bit of a sticky situation. He's all on his lonesome with 3 battleships bearing down on him. Now, normally under this kind of situation, you'd wait for the enemy to shoot at you and then you'd pull a turn. And that's easy to do when you've only got 1 battleship shooting at you. It's more difficult to do when you've got 2 battleships shooting at you. It's next to impossible to do when you've got 3 battleships shooting at you. There just isn't enough of a gap between each ship shooting for you to be able to turn and get away without giving a broadside for them to shoot at. So he's doing the next best thing, and he's sitting there bow in. But, well, the Warspite can penetrate his bows, so he's kind of fucked if he does and fucked if he doesn't. Just a few seconds earlier, Aggravated Animal did finish off the enemy Bayern in his Arizona. It was one of those all too common situations where there's an enemy ship on extremely low health and everybody sort of assumes that somebody else is going to finish them off with their next salvo, and the Bayern nearly got away with it. Nearly, but not quite. He then followed it up with a killing shot on Frenchie, putting him ahead of TC's 2 kills with 3 of his own. And that's when the enemy cavalry arrives in the shape of the Tier 6 German battleship, the Prinz Eitel Friedrich. You kind of have to give him points for at least attempting to come to the aid of a teammate, although then you have to take points away for arriving far too late to be of any actual help, sailing broadside on not just the 3 battleships but also the friendly destroyer, maintaining exactly the same course and speed, just to guarantee that he's going to eat as many of those torpedoes and 15 and 14-inch shells as humanly possible. In fact, achieving very little other than arriving just in time to, well, become the next victim. Really not sure what the Prinz Eitel Friedrich was thinking here. It's possible he had a sudden rush of shit to the brain and thought that he was in a Scharnhorst or a Gneisenau and he was doing the typical Scharnhorst or Gneisenau captain thing and just trying to get close enough to suicide so he could throw his torpedoes out, but Prinz Eitel Friedrich doesn't have torpedoes. So there's kill number 4 for Aggravated Animal in the Arizona. Although any of them could have gotten that kill. It was just a question of whose guns were going to be reloaded at the right time. But what about poor old Cheesy, with TC and Aggravated Animal hogging the spotlight with their 6 fancy kills between them? Poor old Cheesy and the grand old lady of Jutland have got nothing to show for their efforts. It's not like he hasn't been doing anything. He's amassed almost as much damage as TC and Animal combined. He just doesn't have anything to show for it. Well, I don't know about you, but whenever I feel that the Royal Navy's good name is being laid low, I do what any red-blooded Englishman would do, and I spank a Frenchman. If there aren't any Frenchmen around, I do the next best thing. I spank a German. Oh, and there's the Confederate award into the bargain. Jolly good show, old boy, but hang on a second. There's another German over there, trying to escape. Well, luckily, Cheesy still has 2 turrets that are ready to go. and scores a reasonable amount of damage. But if there's one thing about Germans you can always depend on, it's that they can't take a joke and they have no sense of humour. And the Koenig has the gall to fire back, and actually does a fair old amount of damage to Cheesy. Now, there is of course an enemy destroyer beating a hasty retreat on the other side of the island over there, the Guider. It's not just the destroyer. There's a damn treacherous HMS Devonshire over there, who is also armed with torpedoes. So one thing Cheesy is definitely not going to be doing is pursuing any humorless Germans or treacherous Brits through the gap in those islands up there, because that's just begging to be torpedoed. Yes, the Devonshire is turning. He's almost certainly launching torpedoes. While Cheesy has an island to hide behind and wait out his damage repair, aggravated animal in the Arizona has no such luck. He's caught in open water. He's expended all charges of his damage repair party, and his damage control is on cooldown. The Devonshire is playing it very smart. He keeps nosing in whenever animal's ready to fire, and then swinging out to get all guns, spamming him with a high explosive. He's managed to set 2 fires, and with damage control on cooldown, that means with 4 kills and currently in the lead, aggravated animal is out for the count. Cheesy, still in a reasonably good position here, powerless to do anything other than watch as aggravated animal goes down, but able to get some decent shots off against the enemy Fuso, and angled reasonably well against return fire, while being sheltered from attack from the Devonshire. His biggest threat right now is the enemy Guider circling around the island on his starboard side and launching torpedoes at him, but he's been intercepted by the friendly Vasterus. The friendly Vasterus who just ran into one of the Guider's torpedoes. Yeah, that could be a problem. Speaking of torpedoes, exactly as expected, there are the Devonshires. Cheesy was never going to fall for that one. Cheesy's problem right now is that potentially he could have enemies on 3 sides. He's got the Fuso and the Koenig over there, the Devonshire on the other side of the island in front of him, and with the loss of the last friendly destroyer, they're outnumbered 4 to 3, he could potentially also have an enemy Gator sneaking up behind him ready to launch torpedoes. He's got his spotter plane in the air to give him the best possible advance notice, but right now it's the Fuso and the Koenig that are his biggest problems. On the downside, he does have the lowest health remaining of any surviving friendly ships, so both the Fuso and the Koenig, when he eventually appears, are very likely to be focusing him down first. On the plus side, he's managed to stay in cover and stay alive long enough that his damage repair is now off cooldown, and he is using it. Also, TC's just arrived in the New Mexico, which, oh shit, no, that's not good. The Guider, exactly as expected, has appeared behind him and set him on fire. And when you have this amount of low health, a single fire can be fatal. Shit, there's the Devonshire as well. He's just used his damage control party, which means if this sets a fire, and it has, he's dead. There's absolutely nothing he can do about it. Maybe he can survive long enough to get a shot away. Come on, reload the guns. Nope, it was just not to be. So, TC, no pressure or anything, I'm just saying it's you. Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say it's just you in an October Revolution against 4 enemies. Make that 3 enemies, and congratulations on your 3rd kill. You know there's a Koenig around that corner, yes? Yep, there he is. The enemy Ernst Gader and Devonshire have gone remarkably quiet, but the Devonshire's just biding his time. The only other surviving friendly ship, the October Revolution, is heading north, so they're pretty much each other's problem for the moment. That just leaves TC with the Koenig, who is being dumb enough to come around this corner broadside on. Unfortunately for TC, he gets a little bit excited, ejaculates prematurely, and most of those shells do nothing more offensive than dig a few trenches in the beach over there, when he so could very easily have ended that Koenig right there and then. For a moment it looks like the Koenig is going to try to ram, but he's not quite that confident in his teammate's ability to carry. Now, it's not often that you manage to outmaneuver anybody in a New Mexico, but that's exactly what TC's doing here. The Koenig has turned in, and TC is circling around him, which means all of the Koenig's guns are pointing the other way. The friendly October Revolution helps out with an assist, which almost finishes him, but it's TC who gets the kill. Kill number 4, just in case you haven't been keeping track. He's now equalled aggravated animal's score, and the division have 9 kills between the 3 of them.
The enemy is about to win.
Yeah, the enemy might be about to win, but I wouldn't be too sure about that. I mean, yes, there's a very angry looking smoke screen up there, And a destroyer definitely has an advantage when faced with two surviving enemy battleships. The Devonshire, on the other hand, having to fight two battleships is not an enviable position in which to be if you're in a heavy cruiser, but the Devonshire certainly seems to know what he's doing. The Ernst Gator should be able to handle the October Revolution. I mean, he's a destroyer. I don't know what torpedoes he has. They either have a 7.5 or 8 kilometre range. I don't know what his surface detection is. It's going to be at least 7.5 kilometres, but with a 10-point captain it should have been less. So he should be able to stealth torpedo the October Revolution and basically just play cat and mouse with him for the rest of the battle. With the application of a little teamwork between him and the Devonshire, one could keep the October Revolution spotted while the other one farms him. But instead he decides that with barely 1,000 health remaining, he's going to sit in open water firing his guns at a Russian battleship just a couple of kilometres away from him. That didn't work out too well for him, did it? Congratulations, by the way, to the captain of the October Revolution. He just became one of only 2 members of this entire team, not in TCFreer's division, to score a kill in this game. Now this is extremely bad news for the Devonshire, of course. Technically, I mean, he has a massive points lead. They do still control 3 of the caps. And he is a lot faster than an October Revolution, and definitely faster than a New Mexico. It should be possible for him to stealth up, escape out of line of sight, and then skirt around the islands over there and just try to survive long enough to win on points. It's not going to be easy, but it's definitely not impossible. And it looks like he's trying to kite away and possibly do exactly that. Unfortunately for the Devonshire, he did fire those rear turrets, which means he's going to continue to be spotted for 20 seconds, and 20 seconds is more than enough time for TCFreer to finish him off, score the Kraken, get his 5th kill, and win the game. So 5 kills for TC, 4 for Aggravated Animal, 1 for Cheesy. That's all but 2 of the enemy team were sunk by the 3 members of this division. So, jolly good show, chaps. Well done and all that. And if you want to see more fun in games like this, I can definitely recommend that you check out TCFreer on Twitch. He's a thoroughly nice chap, all-round good egg and snappy dresser. He streams World of Warships regularly. I often play with him on Sundays, and I really can't recommend him enough. I hope you've enjoyed today's game, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.